Another day, another pointless remake. Of all the games they could have chosen to remake, they just had to pick one that needed it the least. I mean, Assassin's Creed 1 is right there. Now, I'm gonna put my full bias on display here. I really do not like any of the newer RPG-style Assassin's Creed games, and I think Black Flag is not only the best Assassin's Creed game, but it's also one of my top 10 games of all time, as evident by the amount of hours I've put into it. That being said, I do not feel like I'm the target demographic, but we'll get into that later. For now, let me just say that I'm doing my best to go into this as unbiased as possible. I don't want this game to suck, but Ubisoft genuinely hasn't put out a half-decent game in over a decade, so I'm skeptical to say the least. One more thing before I start talking about the trailer, I won't be mentioning the graphics almost at all because I simply don't care. I'm of the opinion that if you're standing around and analyzing every single pixel, you're not playing the game. You show me someone who loves ray tracing and I'll show you someone that stands perfectly still in every video game they play while they're straight jerking their shit to the pretty graphics instead of actually playing the fucking game. Not that I would be okay with games looking awful, but I just feel like too many people care way too much about graphics these days when that's not really the point of a video game. With all of that out of the way, let's get into the trailer.
Hello, pirates. Matt Ryan here, the voice of Edward Kenway. And this is Assassin's Creed Black Flag Resynced.
So we've got some glimpses of the world and some combat here. So far, so good. Nothing to complain about. Yet.
13 years after the original, this remake brings the classic game back to life. Rebuilt from the ground up with the latest Anvil engine to deliver the most thrilling pirate adventure.
And there it is. Every single game made on the Anvil engine has been straight booty cheeks to the point where I don't even think it's possible for that engine to have good gameplay. But who knows, we haven't really seen enough to definitively say anything one way or the other yet.
You play as Captain Edward Kenway, a rebellious scoundrel eager to make a name for himself in the pursuit of glory, freedom, and a search for a better life.
I'll admit, this looks very pretty, but if all this eye candy means the game is going to run like shit through a paper straw, I'm not going to be happy about it, and that seems to be the case more often than not these days.
I've seen your face before. You's mates with them pirates down in Nassau.
Shut your bloody gob or I'll fill it with shot, you hear me?
And this is one of the things that has me worried. In the original game, Edward said this.
Shut your fucking gob or I'll fill it with shot, you hear me?
To be fair, this could have just been for the trailer. But with that being said, the kind of limp dick pussies who are afraid to say the word fuck in a trailer that isn't even going on TV are exactly the kinds of people that I do not want touching an M-rated game about pirates. Did you know that the real-life pirates of that era would often kill their opponents as brutally as possible when boarding a ship to try and intimidate the rest of the crew into standing down? But God forbid Edward say the word fuck.
What's your profanity?
This ain't Teletubbies, bro. And that will be relevant a little bit later because, spoiler alert, they've tampered with the story. I'm gonna skip ahead a bit because the next portion of the trailer is a combination of things that you'd already know if you played the original and just advertising jargon that doesn't mean anything.
The Caribbean world reaches a new level of immersion and realism. Powered by high-resolution textures.
Place your bets now. Do you think this game is going to be under or over 120 gigabytes? Looking at these textures, I'm going to go ahead and say over.
With seamless access to cities and locations, the world feels truly alive.
And here we have a genuine improvement that I think will add a lot to the game, actually. But if you're on an older PC with a spinning hard drive, ain't no way this game is going to run for you. And that's a bit unfortunate if you're one of the few people who still doesn't have an SSD. But fear not, I've got some advice, okay? What you're going to do is you're going to go to the doctor, okay? You're going to take out a loan. You're going to get some big double D titty implants. And then you're going to start sucking cock for 20 bucks a pop. And, after you've sucked enough cock to pay off the loan, you're gonna start saving up for an SSD. And that's pretty much the only fucking way you're gonna be able to afford it right now. God, I love AI. But, I'm getting off topic. Let's get back to the game.
Time to draw swords, lads. The combat system has been entirely reworked into an action-oriented experience. While wielding dual swords, pistols, and hidden blades.
So here is where we start getting into the real meat and potatoes of this video, and it's also where I started to feel like I am just not the target demographic for this game. I don't think the combat here looks bad, but all these animations are stupid. Not so much Edward's animations, but the bright flashes and weird effects that play when you knock someone down or dodge. I don't know, it just looks stupid to me. And it seems like they were targeting iPad kids rather than the millennials and older Zoomers who played this game originally. And also, I'm just really not a big fan of this like over-the-shoulder camera style. I much prefer the more zoomed out camera that was in the original game, because there's almost never a situation where you're only fighting one guy, and I like being able to see my surroundings a bit more.
Every move now plays a specific role with faster, more fluid attacks and combos.
ADHD effects aside, the combat here honestly does look solid. They kept Edward's style intact and everything looks impactful enough.
Land a perfect parry to open up your target for an instant kill. Then follow with up to 4 chained takedowns.
Limiting the amount of insta-kills you can chain together was probably the right move. That honestly made the original game feel like it was playing itself at times, but again, we have more brain rot effects. It's like they're making this game for babies, dude. Jingle jangle, jingle jangle, look at the keys!
Use walls, ledges, and breakables to your advantage.
Using breakable objects to take out enemies was a part of the original game, although you had to counter an attack before you could throw them. Now it looks like you'll be able to just kick someone into those objects whenever, which is different, but I'm not so sure if it's better. This, along with some other changes I'm going to talk about, seems like it came about purely as a result of the game running on the Anvil engine. Okay, after trying to get some footage for this video, I have a correction on that. It turns out there are apparently no breakable objects in Assassin's Creed 4. That was Assassin's Creed 3. I'm going to leave that part of the video in though, because the point about the Anvil engine still stands, and I'm going to talk about it more later.
Keep track of your opponents and use all your tools to level the playing field. But fight recklessly, and you will be punished.
And this right here has me concerned that brutes are going to be annoying-ass damage sponges like in the shitty RPG games. But I guess time will tell.
Whether you're on the hunt or on the run, mastering your environment is key. As you navigate through cities and jungles, you'll experience smooth and improved iconic parkour moves. From free jumps, to back ejects, and side ejects.
And this is where I'm probably going to lose all the OG fans. I always hated the one-button parkour system in 3 and Black Flag. At best, it made the game feel like it was playing itself, and at worst, it was uncontrollable. I was constantly jumping on and off stuff when I didn't mean to, since the sprint button was also the parkour button. To be fair, it was a similar situation in the Ezio games, but at least in those, you could let go of the A button and continue jogging, so it wasn't as painful. So I'm glad they're revamping the system, but we won't really know how good it is until we get our hands on the game. But that being said, yeah, it looks pretty good. On a scale of Sydney Sweeney to Sabrina Carpenter, Sabrina Carpenter being the worst, of course.
Brother,
I'd give this new parkour a solid your mother's big juicy ass.
Being a pirate assassin often calls for a subtle approach. With Resynced and its enriched stealth system, you can now crouch freely as part of your toolkit to approach targets.
Okay, first of all, rich stealth system? These games aren't exactly Metal Gear Solid, but whatever, pal. Second, only fucking Ubisoft could brag to the world about their game having a crouch button. Oh, look, we added a basic human function to our game. I know, the original didn't have it, but the point still stands. I know this is nitpicky, but I'm really not a fan of these newer assassination animations. I would much prefer them to have just put in the old traditional stab in the back. Also, this is probably as good of a time as any to mention that there's no regenerating health in Resynced, as evident by the health potion on the table and the icon on the HUD, which is definitely a change that they could have made. Not sure if it's for the better or worse, but I suspect they didn't care and they only did it because they got lazy and just just copy and pasted the health system from Mirage, which makes this yet another change that I'm fairly certain was only done because of the new engine.
Tailing and eavesdropping missions have also been revamped. In the original game, getting discovered meant instant desynchronization.
This was literally the single worst part of the original game, and I'm thrilled that they are changing it.
Now, the action continues. Your objectives remain, but your target will react, and you must adapt accordingly.
They did something very similar to this in Unity, and if this is anything like that, I'm sure it'll be great. Not as great as your mother's big juicy ass, but still. I'm gonna skip ahead again because the next minute or so is just more advertiser jargon. Basically all they said was the Jackdaw is back and it has more weapons now.
To reinforce your crew, 3 brand new officers make their entrance. Lucy Baldwin, the Padre, and Deadman Smith. Each officer has a unique narrative questline that reveals their backstory.
I fully expect these new characters and quest lines to be shit, because Ubisoft hasn't written anything decent in over a decade. Spoilers for my next video, as if anyone cares, but Watch Dogs 2's writing was Reddit tier garbage and it has only gotten worse since.
Gain their trust to recruit them to your crew and benefit from their special gameplay abilities. Deadman Smith, for example, unlocks a double shot from broadside weapons.
Giving the player more tools to use as they see fit is almost never a bad thing, so these could definitely be a fun addition to the sandbox as long as they don't fuck it up somehow. But this is Ubisoft, so they very well could find a way.
Assassin's Creed Black Flag Resynced offers a deeper, more immersive adventure that remains faithful to what players love, while enriching the experience with enhanced gameplay features and fresh quests and storylines, including ones for the officers you met earlier and, just between you and me, new narrative arcs involving our old friends, Blackbeard and Steed.
And this is where they've more or less confirmed that they've tampered with the story. I hate this for 2 reasons. One, as I've already said, modern Ubisoft has shown that they're incapable of writing anything that isn't Reddit tier slop made for people with pronouns in their Twitter bios. And 2, the original story was basically perfect aside from the last sequence feeling a bit rushed. So there was just no need for any of this. It's entirely pointless. So that's pretty much everything from the official trailer that I want to talk about, but there is a video by Jaraptor, hopefully I'm pronouncing that correctly, where he gives a bit more information, and I want to talk about some of that. Now, I know I said I don't care about graphics, but this goes beyond realism or fidelity. This scene takes place after a massive storm, and it looks like it in the original game, whereas Resynced makes it look like a sunny day in July. This isn't about eye candy. This straight up doesn't make sense in the context of the story. I'm supposed to believe they just survived a natural disaster that claimed multiple ships and almost took theirs, but yet the cutscene here shows the kind of weather that has every suburban dad busting out the grill and burning the shit out of some burgers.
And it seems like Ubisoft improved the combat too and made a ton of small but likely impactful changes. It's still very counter-based, after which you can follow up and take the enemy out, but a big change is that the alternative stances like unarmed combat and using your hidden blade to parry and attack are gone.
This is a change that absolutely did not need to happen, and it only makes the game worse. I guarantee you this is yet another thing that only happened because of the engine that they're using, and they just didn't give enough of a shit to tweak it enough so that you could switch to your hidden blade or fists in combat. There's some other stuff in this video I could talk about, but frankly, I'm tired of yapping, so I'm gonna wrap this up. Before I sign off, I just want to say, do not pre-order this game. I can see how you might be hyped, but please just wait for the reviews. Alright, I'll see you next time.